The Ludum Dare, an ancient challenge where game developers create a game in only 2 days, also known as a game jam. These 48 hours resulted in blood, sweat, tears, and a healthy amount of energy drink consumption. But I eventually created this masterpiece. But before I show you the result, let's go back to the prehistoric internet era of 2002, during a time when epic fail and peanut butter jelly time were the funniest things on the internet. A small internet blog was started that sparked one of the first game jams in the world. At the first jam, there were only 18 participants. But now, I joined thousands of other devs to claim the title of Ludum Dare. And here's my journey. Where I live, the game jam started at midnight, and I wanted to get some solid sleep in before I started to work on the game. So my plan for day 0.1 was to wait for the team to be announced and to come up with a concept, so I could jump out of bed and start deving straight away. The clock struck midnight and the team was dropped. A lot of ideas started flowing in, and I took my whiteboard to write them all down. And this is what it looked like after 10 minutes of brainstorming, because I lied and I had no ideas whatsoever. My brain was pretty fried from an intense work week, so creative juices weren't really flowing. But lo and behold, the first actual ideas started flowing in, and I wrote more and more on the board, eventually coming up with a pretty okay and fun idea. The main mechanic I wanted to work with is catching creatures. I want to have 2 play areas, one where you can catch the little bastards and one where you can feed and grow them in some sort of garden. When they're fully grown, you can sell them for the big monies. You can use this money to buy upgrades to make catching and feeding easier until everything eventually becomes automatic. It kind of sounds like you're cosplaying an illegal animal dealer, but the art is gonna be cute, so it's fine. After pumping all of this into a document and making a Trello for all my tasks, I called it quits and went to bed. Oh, I just booted up my PC and it's already past 10. So let's create a project and start blasting code. In order to stay on theme, the main thing we need to implement is the many different creatures spawning. So the first thing we'll do is make a script so that we can spawn in a bunch of random creatures. My plan is to have a few base bodies with different colors and random accessories like hats, tails, and stuff like that. So we will hopefully get some decent variation going on eventually. After a bit of coding, adding the first Unity package, we now have something like this. As you can see, we have a cool round boy with random ears and a tail hanging on a totally wrong place. Don't worry, these are all just placeholders for now, so let's just clean things up in the code and fix the accessory placement, and now we have something like this. Now it's time for a simple AI, so these creatures can actually move around and look alive. But first we need another Unity package for this. I wrote some simple code which makes them go to a random point, and when it reaches this point it finds another one. Now we just need to throw our floor into the oven and bake it. So it magically turns blue, and now our brothers and sisters can walk on it. As you can see, it works pretty decent, but when you spawn in a bunch of them, you sometimes get something like this. I tried a couple of things to fix this, but it kept happening. So I just made a duct tape solution like all good devs do, and now when they take too long kissing each other, they just find another spot. And now our own ChatGPT AI is done. I didn't really have any food at home, so
15 minutes later.
And now it's back to deving. After this big ass pizza, spending way too much time making the camera movement very smooth, we can now officially move between the wilds and the garden. The creatures can also move to the garden, which is the next thing on the chopping block. The catching would just happen by clicking on a creature and holding it until the bar is completely full, which wasn't that hard to do. Later we will add the actual fishing rod. To feed your silly little creatures, just click on them in the garden until they're fully grown. After breaking my brain until I realized you cannot divide integers with each other, they can now fully grow up and become big, cute boys. Maybe even a little bit too big. After that's fixed, we can now sell them for some epic gains, which will go straight to the depth-o-meter. Oh yeah, in preparation for the next day, which will be art focused, I upgraded the render pipeline, which turns everything into the ugliest pink in the world. So We just have to unpinkify almost everything. My progress has not been as much as I'd like it to be, so I will have to get rid of some features and just focus on the most important ones, which will hopefully make my game fun. So the final features of the day were the upgrades I wanted. These included a few upgrades for the fishing rod, a net, which is an easier way to catch the creatures. Just click anywhere where you want the net to appear and just let it go to like scare the shit out of them. I also added in an automatic catcher and an automatic feeder, which don't really need an explanation, I think. I gave everything a couple of levels, which changed some values like the catch speed and the net size, and went to bed because this was literally me, guys. Okay, so far our game looks like it's been made by a 5-year-old. So let's just change that real quick. For that, we're sadly gonna have to say goodbye to our round boys and girls, but that's okay. The first thing I want to do is make some building blocks for an environment. So here's a cool time lapse of me doing just that. I'm not gonna make a lot of assets, but just scale and turn them around in Unity so they look different, and these should be enough things to build up our scene. I don't want to do a lot of texturing work, so I made one big texture with a bunch of gradients and put them on the models so they don't look flat. Now that my art brain was fired up, I wanted to work on the creature designs. And since I don't have that much time, I'm not going to be making concept art for each one of them. Just going to look at some cool references and start free modeling. Took some inspiration from Ubuntu, which is a cute little game, and I hope my creatures look as silly as them. I'm actually pretty happy with how stupid they look. I mean, like, they look like they have a total of 1 brain cell together, come on. I spent a couple of hours making them and the accessories, and here they are, all finished up. I made the base body of the creatures white so I can change the color by code. I don't want them to T-pose and move around, so I rigged them and gave them some even dumber walks and idle animations. And now they're officially done and ready to replace our round boys. Now it's just a matter of exporting everything and building up a nice looking scene, which took me a short while, but I think we got something decent. I quickly made a toon shader and did some tweaks with the post-processing, and now our scene looks like this. It's not the best looking thing I made, but I think a 5-year-old will say this looks nice, so mission accomplished. After all the art assets were implemented, I spent some time making everything work properly, but the time was ticking. The final hours before the deadline, I did a little bit of testing and made some UI, but the game didn't feel finished at all, because there was barely any polish present. And this led to the next part. So this is me recording 20 minutes before the upload deadline is over, and I'm still not happy with how my game feels. I'm pretty sure that I won't be able to upload within the next 20 minutes, so I have to make a harsh decision to give up on the compo jam and join the regular jam. The rules for compo include building everything all by yourself within 48 hours, not using any pre-made assets like art, music, or code. And the regular jam gives you 1 more day to work on a game. You can use pre-made assets and you can work in a team, which sounds pretty OP, I'm not gonna lie. But as a last resort, I decided to join the regular jam, which was honestly no big deal. Before I went to bed, I just did a couple more tweaks and called it a day. Now, day 3 started on a Monday, so time for regular work. Luckily, I don't have to travel that far since I work from home.
8 hours later.
The workday is done, so let's open up the project to do the final touches. There's family coming over at my girlfriend's house, so I only have like 2 hours to finish the game. I just added some polish today, like VFX, sound effects, screen shake, updated the menus and UI. And now everything should be done and my game looks like this. You start out by catching some little fellas and then you feed and sell them in your garden. Buy some upgrades to make the catching easier, rinse and repeat, and you should finish the game in a bit. Okay, so it takes way too freaking long to finish a game, but I don't really have time to change it, so anyway. I just made a game page real quick, added a WebGL build, and now we just wait. I really have to go or I'm dead. My girlfriend's family is Slavic. Okay, update. So I played and tested a few games over the last few days, and I reviewed them. I've gotten some reviews myself, but I also made 2 desperate posts asking for more reviews, and now we have this. This just means we earned enough reviews and our game gets a rank, so we can see where we place among the other 2,000 games. Alright, let's check it. Hey, what the hell? We actually did pretty great. For an automation game to be fun, there needs to be more stuff to do and to automate. And I had a lot of features planned to do this, but I wasn't really able to fit them in these 2 days. Safe to say, the game is a bit lacking in features right now. But I'm not really disappointed at all. I learned some stuff and got some pretty heartwarming comments about my game. Thanks, Pyrocast. So, jam successful. Anyway, if you're like Pyrocast and you think this game can be improved into a bigger one, feel free to blast this video with likes and leave comments telling me to get off my lazy ass and actually improve the game. I really hope you liked the video, and if you didn't, why the hell are you still here? Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Beans out.